I'm Lisa.
And I'm Anton. And this is the journey of turning our dream of Celtica into a reality.
Hospitality really meant something to our Celtic ancestors, and over the years that we've been together, we've been told again and again how much people love to come and stay with us.
Guest teachers have come from all over the world. Many a dinner has been cooked, many a tale told, and much love and laughter shared within our home.
In this series, we follow the building of Ty Noddfa Bach, our little sanctuary, and the first step on the path that leads to Celtica.
There's a lot of work to be done, so let's get started.
Well, we thought that because I'm an Aquarian, squirrel, and Anton is a Leo.
What are you saying?
It might be a good idea for us to have a few notes about what we wanted to talk to you about to introduce this project.
That's probably wise.
So before we jump right into Ty Noddfa Bach, it might be cool to give you a little bit of background on what's going on in the history of the property. Now, don't worry, this isn't going to be our life story. There'll be plenty of videos about our life story later on. But for now, we just want you to understand how we got to where we are with this project.
Oh, yeah. So this property has been, it's been around longer than you have. You pretty much grew up here, I think, one way or another in the various guises. Your folks, I think, bought it sometime in the 60s, and there was this beautiful old farmhouse on it, which I know they worked so hard to put it all together and restore it. And very sadly, just as they were finishing it, the oil company come along to thaw out some pipes and set fire to the house and burnt it down. And so there was a small trailer put onto this property, which saw Poppy right the way through to the end of his days, which I think was 2003. And so we kind of then inherited this property. Is that about right? Well, you did.
Well, when my dad passed away, yes, we took ownership. So the cabin that's here now is actually the third property I've lived in on this property.
It's wild.
But in 2007, Anton's parents decided they wanted to immigrate from the UK.
Yeah.
But the trailer by then was already 30 years old. So they decided to sell off their house and put up the cabin. And it's a beautiful space with a lot of room for entertaining. And we get to host visitors all the time from different places all over. And there's a great room where our band used to practice.
Oh, yeah.
There's even a wet bar.
Ooh.
Gin, can you say gin?
You drink it until you can't pronounce it, I think. That's the idea, isn't it? So, as long as we can remember, there's been a barn on this property, and honestly, it's been here forever, but it was in need of serious attention. Long before I set foot on these sacred shores, it had been in need of serious attention. But sadly, because of so many projects, I guess, that we had on our plate, it was something we'll get round to it. We'll get round to it. Well, eventually we had to get round to it. So now we've got a plan for the spot where the barn used to be. More on that later.
All right. So Ty Noddfa Bach is going to be what the barn transforms into.
Yeah.
And it's going to have a ground floor with a garage where we can park our Mustangs and have all of Anton's tools and things like that.
Might stand a chance of finding them.
Right? And then the other side on the bottom is going to be a craft center.
Yeah.
As many of you know, we make a lot of the things that we sell at the shop, all of our sprays and votive candles, and we sew altar cloths and tarot bags and robes, and just all kinds of things. I'm sure I'm leaving out a whole bunch of stuff that we handcraft, jewelry, so incense,
all sorts of assorted
stuff.
licorice, all sorts, for sure. Yeah.
When we move all that stuff out into the craft center, we'll have a lot more room to work, and we'll have another bedroom in-house for people to come and stay.
It's not a bad idea. So Also, because the barn was a two-story structure, we figured it would make sense to put a two-story structure back there. And the upstairs we've got plans for too. They're not going to be houses in their own right, but I guess they call them as like auxiliary dwelling units. ADU's a fancy name for it, whatever.
Spare bedrooms, really.
Well, I guess, kind of, sort of, yeah. So this is going to give us the ability when we get there to sleep probably somewhere between 10 and 15 folks all told, which is wonderful. Well, that's our plan, so we can do residential courses and people can come and be completely immersed in our crazy sort of metaphysical way, and we both love to cook, so there's a very strong chance you won't just be expanding your mind, but you may also be expanding your waistline.
Yes.
Yes.
So the property here is rather modest in size,
Yeah.
just over half an acre.
Not huge.
But we plan to make the very best use of what we have. So there's room for a great garden to harvest plenty of organic food for farm-to-table dinners. We have chickens.
We do.
And we intend, when things settle down a little bit, to acquire a couple of beehives.
Ooh,
and we'd like to teach people about harvesting and preserving and self-sufficiency. So it might be nice if you came and you got to harvest some berries. We have blueberries and strawberries and all kinds of yummy stuff that you could make jam from.
Absolutely.
Or it might be fun to just learn how easy it is to make pickles. There's room for a small greenhouse and a polytunnel or potting shed, as well as we have a plan in place to go solar and to harvest rainwater. And we have a potter's wheel. And we'd love to be able to offer people classes on making their own altar items like chalices and athames, maybe even a forge.
Well, this property was on the site, or adjoining it was a blacksmith shop, wasn't it? And one of the treasures we turned up in the barn was the anvil.
The big old anvil. So in 2018, we had a vision for a place on a much larger scale. We were looking at a property at 181 Huguenot Street. Some of you might have already heard about that project. It was less than a mile from the awareness shop, in walking distance, a place where we could partake in being a Wallkill River keeper and help with cleaning the water there. We wanted to make like a farmer's museum and do everything mechanized and
non-mechanized farm,
non-mechanized, sorry, and have a crafting center there, of course, and a great hall where we thought we could even do like chairing of the Bard of New Paltz. And sadly, despite the best efforts that we could make and that our community could make and that our advisors could make, timing really wasn't on our side.
Well, a global pandemic didn't help, did it?
No. And we barely raised enough money to give a retainer to a lawyer for the project. So, and in the meantime, with COVID, the price of the property went sky high, and now it absolutely, we realize that that's completely out of reach. So
it's several millions of dollars. If you happen to have a few $1 million, please mail it in. We'll chase that one down again. But
now it's been
just a little too expensive.
One of the things that we wanted to do was have herb gardens, which we will have here on a smaller scale, but we'll still have them for teas, flowers and herbs. So that farm has been leased now for 3 years, and it's been made into an organic herb farm. So
which is fine, which is wonderful. We love that. The pandemic was difficult. It was difficult. I mean, our book Simply Wicca came out in 2020 on the Friday prior to the lockdown that we got in New York State.
Can you imagine?
And can you imagine? We are the only people where we've had to cancel an author's book signing, and
Right.
this was our own
Our
book.
own author
so
event.
we actually had to cancel our own book signing but we were closed for what, like 16 weeks or something?
Yeah,
like
4
that?
months.
4 months. It was
and
insane.
we're used to working 7 days a week, so it's a bit crazy.
But we're doing all right. You know, it's the book's getting there slowly. It's made its third printing now, which is not too bad. So if you don't have it yet, you probably should.
Simply Wicca, if you want to know what it's called.
Doesn't suck.
All right. So what COVID did, though, is give us a lot of time for thinking. We focused on purchasing things because we kept being told that the supply chain was going to break down. And we did have a lot of trouble getting herbs and resins and incense and things like that. But now we've really got a handle on stock, and we have the most inventory that we've ever had in our whole 30 years in business.
I know, it's unreal.
You just won't believe it when you come in the shop.
It's unreal. I don't know where she puts all the stuff. She keeps saying, "Oh, we could fit more."
And we kind of had to reinvent ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Our community pulled together, and we all worked really hard to be able to learn how to do Zoom, right?
Hey.
So we Zoomed circles, and we focused on meditations and healing magic that we could do on Zoom. And we had to learn how to Zoom our classes too, which was a really interesting thing. We were right in the middle of our Craft of the Wise series. Fun enough with that. But we were also in the middle of our chakra crystal energy clinician work. That meant mailing loads of rocks, lots of places.
Oh, what a sad thing to receive, eh? How
It
somebody
was a
sent
little
me
trickier.
rocks.
But then we realized that never an ill wind that doesn't blow somebody some good. Because now in 21, we were pros at the Zoom thing.
Well, yeah, kind
And
of.
people from all over wanted to take our Coming Home to the Craft of the Wise, the class that kind of goes along with our book. So it's once a month for a year and a day, and you can look on the YouTube station and find Coming Home to the Craft of the Wise.
That's it.
But we had people in Wales, in the UK, in Canada, California,
yeah, way out
and
west
all
coast,
these
yeah.
people who would not have been able to come to the store once a month were now able to take the class. So never an ill wind.
It is, as the saying goes. Yeah, indeed. So we've decided, this is something, it's not what you could do with what you haven't got. It's what you actually do with what you've got right now. So we've decided to make the very best of what we already have. So rather than, try and raise multiple millions of dollars to get a huge property, we figured we'd just start small, scale things back a bit, and we can still do what we were planning on doing. We just adjusted a little bit.
Instead of having a quarter acre of lavender, I might only have a 4x4 garden bed of lavender, but we'll still be able to make good harvests and teas and make the best of what we have.
You can do an awful lot with a little. You really can. And so we decided this is where we're going to build Ty Noddfa Bach, our little sanctuary house, if you will, a place where, a place of healing, a place of learning, where you can come and be really immersed in the craft, in relationship with the land, and
learn some tricks for self-sufficiency, for living a spiritual life. Will help you with daily practice and positive energy, and some really interesting things that are hidden in plain sight, esoteric stuff.
Also, being immersive courses does give us the ability. We always build the Coming Home to the Craft of the Wise as not your get-rich-quick course. But if you're coming on a residential course, you've got that's your sole focus.
A condensed version.
So yeah, we can squash the time frame a little
And again, we love to cook, so you'll be entertained in many ways.
Bring your eating pants. I think that's important. So yeah, we've got this incredible story coming up that is going to form a whole series. So we'd love for you to subscribe, definitely. Please do like, comment, definitely subscribe.
Yes, and if you did want to make a donation to the project, you can go to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee.
Or send a super thanks.
Or send a super thanks.
You can.
Or you can make a donation to the Church of the Eternal Circle. So it's all kind of one big thing that works together, and we would love to have you subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
Thanks for watching.
Peace.